All right, welcome back. Part two. Part one, a lot of numbers thrown at you. Just want to remember some of the things like circulation revenue for newspapers is still good. Remember that newspapers are using, and most media is doing a good job of using social media. Remember that circulation dollars really are not down. Let's talk about television and radio here in part two. Local television news uh, has lost audiences over the past decade, including this year in most of the time slots. So they've lost audiences. We're looking at 2016 now because of when the surveys were done. In 2016, viewerships for local network affiliate news, and that's ABC, CBS, Fox, and NBC. We have all four of those in Lubbock. Declined in all the key time slots: morning, early evening, and late night. And so they're down, including falling 19% in the early evening news. In the morning news, fell 19% or 12%. But how about this? Late night news has declined 31%. It's a great test question for us. Which television news local television news has seen the most decline? And it's late night. And it's gone down by 31%. Let's look at the actual raw numbers of this. If we had had this class a couple years ago, morning news was kind of holding steady. It was at 11.9 in 2013, 12.1 in 2014, just down to 11.8 2015. And I remember teaching in the class not too long ago saying morning news is holding on to viewers. Now they've dropped off a little bit, but you see the late night viewers. How about that? And that's the 10 o'clock news or the 9 o'clock if it's a Fox. At one point, it got up to 29 million viewers in 2007. It's fallen to 20 million in 2016, and those are things that really hurt the news viewership. But stations still putting money into news. But let's look at the key part of it, and that's advertising dollars. And again, we're talking in here billions of dollars when you look at the whole country, in the country of we're having local television report from the country. In 2004, over-the-air advertising on local television was a $22.4 billion industry. The interesting thing is, in 2016, that's gone up. So 2015, it fell to 18 billion. In 2016, it was almost a 21 billion. So it's going back up. So haven't seen that big of a drop on over-the-air television advertising. But here's the other great news is that the revenue from digital is also going. It's creeped over the $1 billion mark now for local television stations. It did that in 2016, projected to do that again in 2017, closing in on 1.5 billion in 2021. So local television TV advertising revenue is still pretty robust. It's staying about flat, and that's another thing that we can talk about in our test question. That local television, while some of the audiences are down, their TV advertising revenue is somewhat remaining flat. And if you throw the digital into it, if you look at 2004, $22.4 billion in 2021 projected about 22 billion, but then you throw in another billion and a half for digital, and so the numbers are actually higher in 2021. So there is growth in local TV advertising revenue, and so that's a good news for local television. Again, I show you that political advertising revenue at local TV companies, if you look at it, 2012, 573, we're talking about million here. 2013 goes down because that might just be local elections, things like that. Not as much. 2014 back up. 2015 down. 2016 back up again. Great business. Television and radio stations love elections. We want jobs, right? We looked at it again. Survey found that the median salary for a news director position at a local TV newsroom rose 7% in 2015, while the median salary for the news reporter rose 11%. That's good, right? Salaries look like they're going up. If we look at actual dollars, a news director in 2013 averaged $85,000. In 2015, it was up to $98,500. You're not going to go get a job as a news director. News anchor, 2013, the average salary was $63,000. In 2015, it was $70,000. News anchors, salaries are going up. Managing editor, you're seeing less and less of that, and that's because we talked about the multi-purpose journalist. Salaries going down. Executive producer staying about the same. Weathercaster, I don't know why they give weather different than that. Weather becoming the most important part of a local newscast. Those salaries are going up. But how about this for the poor old sports anchor? The salary is trending up. After 2013 it was a 45,000. 2014 it went to 43. In 2015 back up to 48.5. So pretty good information there. Graphic specialist staying about the same, mid 30s. A news reporter averaged 31,000 in 2013 up to 41,000 in 2015. And these numbers are mostly reflective of that local news has to get competitive in the job industry as far as pricing goes, their salaries go, if they want to stay involved. And then how about this? Number of hours dedicated to local TV news. In 2003, stations averaged 3.7 hours of their day, morning, midday, at night, to news. 2016 is up to 5.7. Again, we talked about this. News, cheap to produce, cheap local programming, and even though the viewership is down, it's still their prime advertising spot, and they get more dollars for it. And so it's very important on that. So local television still very, very healthy industry. And so remember that local television is really healthy. We'll probably ask that as a true false question on the next one. And then let's finish up with local radio, because I love this, because people are talking about radio all the time, and the what happens with radio, and again, I want to go back really quick to television, and the fact that people, while watching television, there's a lot of shows you can watch on local TV. And again, the way a local television station differentiates itself television-wise, it's harder. Again, we talked about radio is easier because you've got all day long to develop personalities and stuff. Television doesn't have that type of way to differentiate itself, except for news. And so that's why that's why you can still have talent and make a little bit of money off this. But let's look at radio. It starts with terrestrial radio, and terrestrial is just what it means. On the Earth, it's delivering to some type of on-the-ground type of. You've got a station broadcasting from on the ground, broadcasting to a car or your home radio, or whatever like that. And as you can see, percentage of Americans aged 12 or older who listen to terrestrial AM/FM radio in a given week, 92% in 2009, 91% in 2016. No difference. It's staying just about the same. Local radio is doing fine. So again, people telling you that you're worried about local radio, you shouldn't be. And how about this? Then online radio listenership also going up. And this again is listeners 12 and up, listening to it in a month or in a week, 12% in 2007, 53% in 2017, monthly 20% in 2007, up to 61%. So people are listening online as well. So it's really radio doing very, very well. And so you don't want to overlook that. Most listen to radio formats. Most people are listening to news, talk, information, and then it goes down to pop, contemporary hit, adult contemporary. And again, it just depends on the market. If you're in a market in Texas, country music is going to be probably near the top. If you're in Atlanta or Dallas or Houston, urban contemporary is going to be up near the top. There you see all sports station. And again, these are really great because as you look at it, so 9.6% of radio listeners listen to news, talk, information. A station like All Sports or classic rock, not necessarily classic rock as much, but All Sports or urban contemporary, they can charge a lot for advertising because they have a niche market. And so that really works out in their favor as well. So their numbers might not be overall as good, but they have a niche market that people are interested in. Then you have online radio listening in cars by cell phone owners. Again, this is a qualitative statistic, right? That is psychographic because you're breaking it down a little bit. Online radio, listening in your car. It's like Jerry Seinfeld, right? Comedians in cars, drinking coffee. Online radio, listening cars by cell phone owners. Percentage of U.S. cell phone owners who have ever listened to online radio in a car using a phone. 6% in 2010, 40% in 2017. Again, young, bright college students coming out looking at that as a place to listen. Again, podcasts. A couple of years ago, this was really interesting information. In 2006, the percentage of Americans 12 or older who had ever listened to a podcast was 11%. In 2017, it's 40%. And in the past month, they didn't even study it early on. In 2008, it was 9%, 24% in 2017. That's probably how you consume a lot of your stuff, through podcasts. And again, boy, a place that's really taken advantage of that, NPR. NPR is, I love some of the NPR podcasts. And when I listen to podcasts, a lot of times it is NPR. So average weekly users, unique users who download NPR podcasts, it was 2 million in 2014, up to 3.5 million in 2016. Underwriting opportunities galore for NPR. If we just look at the average station revenue for all news radio stations, again, pretty much staying flat. 2009, it was 16.3 million. 2016, 17.4 million. Local radio doing fine. And it's one of those things that we talked about previously. People will really down talk local radio as being a dying industry, but that's not the case at all. Let's finish up with just radio stations are owned sometimes by a big group. If you look at some of the bigger groups, CBS Corporation, Hubbard Corporation, Sinclair, and we talked about Sinclair owns a lot of TV stations that sometimes they have bigger groups of stations, and so sometimes you have a CBS affiliated station that's actually owned by the CBS Corporation. But we're really more worried about the economics. Remember this: radio economics are strong. Podcasts going up primarily at NPR, but podcast overall is going up. Online listening by people in the cars on cell phones going up. Most listened to radio format, if you're trying to sell news talk, is a great one. Sports talk is a great one. Online radio going up. All things pointing up for radio. And again, goes back to, except for ground to ground, terrestrial, and that stayed flat. But it doesn't need to really growth, right? How about that? The percentage of Americans age 12 or older who have listened to a terrestrial AM/FM radio station in a given week, 92% in 2009, 91% 2016. It hasn't moved. So that's a good number. So anyway, that's what we're talking about. Really, the only place that should be feeling the pain a little bit is newspaper. And newspaper is trying to figure out some other ways to do that. But there are some other really great places. And next week, we'll talk about Facebook and other places where people consume their news. News really becomes an important thing for us to talk about. Go to the discussion boards, get your assignment 4 done. We'll talk to you on Monday. Have a great, safe weekend.